El gran temor del patriarca, Joshua Collins, se ha hecho realidad. Su hijo, Barnabas Collins, ha sido liberado de sus cadenas 170 años después.
Forgive my curiosity, but I understood that Barnabas Collins, the son of Naomi and Joshua Collins, died a few years after he went to England.
Well, that's true, but apparently the family history didn't tell of his marriage and the fact that he had a son, who proved to be my great-great-grandfather.
It's strange that no one ever heard of it.
Well, if one considers communications in those days, well, a family separated by great distances sometimes lost track of some of its members.
I suppose you're right. Shall we go into the drawing room?
Thank you.
So there's a whole branch of the Collins family flourishing in England, and I never knew it.
Flourishing may be hardly the word for it. Alas, I am the sole remaining member.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Have you no family of your own?
As yet, no.
But there's still hope.
Oh, there's always hope.
Anyone definite?
Not as yet.
Did you come to America to find a bride?
Well, that wasn't my sole purpose, but I don't rule it out as a possibility.
What were your reasons for coming to America? Was it a business trip or just a visit? Forgive my asking all these questions.
Well, at the moment, I consider it a visit. But there's some likelihood that I may settle here permanently, in Collinsport.
I can hardly believe it. Another Collins, I can't tell you how pleased I am. Now, you're descended from Barnabas Collins, but the rest of the family, the whole history, I want to hear it. Please give me the details.
There's really very little to tell.
Oh, I doubt that.
Well, perhaps there's too much for this initial visit. After all, I only wanted to present myself and pay my respect.
Please stay a little while longer. You have other cousins to meet. My brother Roger and his little boy David and my daughter Carolyn.
I look forward to it eagerly. But perhaps another time. I may come again, may I not?
Oh, certainly. And please don't feel that you have to be so formal.
You're very kind.
I realize I should ask you to stay here at Collinwood, but at the moment, the household is a little upset. We have temporary guests.
Oh, please, even to think of it is sufficient courtesy. But I think you'll realize when I say that I'd prefer more independent quarters.
I understand perfectly. But you must come again, and often.
I shall. I've always loved Collinwood. It's just as I remembered it.
Remembered it? But you've never been here before.
But I feel as though I have. Descriptions, stories, they've all been handed down from generation to generation. And being here now is like returning to a memory from childhood. Oh, don't be surprised if I know Collinwood quite well. Even the old house near Widow's Hill, where our poor, unfortunate ancestors, Jeremiah and Josette Collins, lived for a time. And I understand that Joshua Collins, my direct ancestor, lived there with his family, even after this house was built.
Well, you certainly were well schooled in the family history.
I wouldn't be a Collins if I weren't. And I wouldn't be a Collins if I didn't recognize in my blood, in my soul, that my roots are here. And perhaps my destiny. Oh, forgive me. I tend at times to romanticize. Promise you'll pay no attention.
I understand.
Well, now I must go.
Oh, you must be tired after your trip.
Yes, it was a long and difficult journey.
You must be exhausted.
Like coming from one world to another.
Is life in England so different from it is here?
Oh, no, of course not. And yet, so much is so different. But Collinwood hasn't changed. I mean, from what I've always heard. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. How very grateful.
Now, you must promise to come whenever you like. You're not a stranger, you know. You're a member of the family.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know you were busy.
Oh, come in, Vicky, please. I want you to meet a cousin of mine. Yes, this is my cousin Barnabas from England. Barnabas, this is Vicky. Victoria Winters. She's my nephew's tutor.
How do you do?
I'm very pleased to meet you.
I don't have to tell you that Mr. Collins is a descendant of the young man whose portrait hangs in the foyer.
No, you don't. You look so much alike.
Vicky is more like one of the family than a tutor.
Do you let them call you Vicky when your name is Victoria?
Why, yes. We're not very formal with each other.
But the name Victoria is so beautiful to me, I couldn't possibly surrender a syllable of it. Oh, forgive me. As I explained to my cousin, I indulge in, fanciful attitudes from time to time. They're not to be taken seriously. And now, good evening.
I'll take you to the door.
Oh, no, please. I'd feel more at home if I let myself out. Goodbye, Elizabeth. Goodbye, Miss Winters. Miss Victoria.
What an extraordinary man.
I didn't even know I had a cousin in England, and here he is.
He's so...
Formal?
He's almost courtly.
La casa vieja no ha sido habitada en casi un siglo. Está abandonada, lo cual la hace un lugar idóneo para que un niño quiera jugar en ella a sus anchas.
Who's there?
Barnabas.
Barnabas Collins?
You recognize me?
Well, yes. I've seen your portrait 1,000,000 times.
My portrait? You mean my ancestor's portrait, don't you?
You mean you're not the man from the portrait in the foyer?
How could I be?
You mean you're not a ghost?
Do you really think I am?
Of course.
I'm not sure I believe you, David.
How do you know my name?
Your Aunt Elizabeth told me I had a cousin named David.
Cousin? No kidding, you're my cousin? And you're not a ghost?
Well, if I were a ghost, would you be talking to me so calmly?
Yes, I would. I've talked to ghosts before.
You have?
Yes, right here in this house. And when you came in, I thought I was seeing another ghost.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
That's okay.
Now tell me more about those ghosts.
Well, my favorite one, of course, is Josette. That's her picture there.
Our ancestor from over 100 years ago.
That's right.
And she actually appeared to you and talked to you.
Yes, and even now I know when she's here, in the room.
Oh?
The picture glows, and the air smells like jasmine. And if you think very, very hard, you can get some kind of message. Do you want to try it right now?
I don't think so.
You're not afraid, are you?
Well, perhaps I am.
Don't be. She wouldn't hurt you. She'd help you. You know, kind of protect you. Especially if you're a cause.
I'll have to remember that.
Did you have a good time, David?
Yes.
You're right, Max?
Oh, here you are. You're just in time to wash your hands for dinner.
Did Mr. Loomis come back?
No. And David, I want you to stop asking about him.
I thought I saw him earlier.
You saw him.
Well, I thought I did. But only it turned out to be somebody else. Turned out to be my cousin.
Oh, where'd you meet him?
At the old house. That's where I was playing, and that's where I met him.
Barnabas was at the old house?
Yes. At first, I thought he was the ghost of the man in that portrait. But then, I was disappointed to find out that he wasn't.
Why would he go to the old house?
I don't know, but he certainly knows his way around for someone who's never been there before.
Yes, well, he told me he'd been brought up on stories about Collinwood.
He must have heard a lot of stories.
Well, not only stories, but descriptions. Maybe he even saw pictures and drawings.
Well, maybe. You know, I think he talks funny. The words he uses. He talks the way people do in books.
Well, speaking correctly is hardly a fault.
Well, I wasn't saying it was a fault. I meant that it just sounded funny.
Well, I hope you start sounding equally funny. Now, hurry up and get ready for dinner.
David, didn't you hear your aunt?
You know what? He doesn't look anything like the portrait.
That's ridiculous. He looks exactly like it.
No, he doesn't. The man in this portrait seems as though he's angry at someone. But Barnabas, my cousin that I met at the old house, he seems more sad than angry. He seems as though he's remembering something that he's lost a long time ago. Maybe that's when I thought he was a ghost. He seemed as though he was haunting the rooms instead of just walking through them.
I was a Collins. Why didn't you protect me? Where were you when I was turned into something that even my own father loathed? If his ghost is here with yours, tell him I've come home. I claim this house as mine. And whatever power you or he may have is ended. I am free now and alive. The chains with which he bound me are broken. And I've returned to live the life I never had. Whatever that may turn out to be.
Refresquemos algunos hechos. Cuando Elizabeth Collins le comentó a Barnabas que en su casa había visitas temporales, se refería a Jason Maguire y a su compañero de fechorías, Willie Loomis.
Yes, ma'am.
Ambos se alojaron en Collinwood gracias al vil chantaje que Jason ejerce sobre Elizabeth. Resulta que este hombre fue amigo de Paul Stoddard, el esposo de Elizabeth, y la amenaza con revelar la verdad sobre la desaparición de su esposo 18 años atrás. Jason es un hombre astuto, manipulador y planea todo con suma cautela. Pero Willie demostró ser impulsivo y bravucón, y en poco tiempo tuvo problemas con varias personas. Molestó a Maggie Evans y discutió con el novio de ella, Joe Haskell. También acosó a la institutriz. Y cuando cometió el abuso de propasarse con Caroline, Elizabeth tuvo que pagar una cuota adicional para que Jason lo sacara de su propiedad. Pero recordemos que justamente esa tarde, Willie salió a escondidas de todos, con intención de llevarse una tajada más grande. Siempre y cuando encontrara las joyas de la familia, que se creían ocultas en el mausoleo.
My name is Victoria Winters. These are uneasy days at Collinwood, for two mysterious strangers have invaded the privacy of the great house, creating doubts and fears in the minds of every member of the Collins family. One of them has disappeared, and that in itself has created an even greater mystery.
Hace varios días que Willie no ha sido visto, y eso preocupa enormemente a Jason.
Why should Willie hide? Especially from me.
Maybe he simply decided to leave.
Without the money, he'd never do that.
Oh, that reminds me. You owe me $500.
Oh? Do I now?
I gave you the money to get rid of Willie, but you're keeping it.
Well, I'm holding it for him.
Caroline ha visto varias veces a su madre, discutiendo con Jason, y aunque ellos traten de hacerle creer que son malinterpretaciones, ella sabe que algo están escondiendo.
Jason, I'm warning you, I can only stand
Mother.
some... Carolyn,
What were you arguing about?
we weren't arguing, darling.
Well, it sounded like an argument to me. I heard you say you could only
We
stand...
weren't having an argument. We were simply discussing something.
What?
It really doesn't concern you, Carolyn.
In other words, mind your own business.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
Carolyn, please.
Please what? Please mind your own business? Please go away. All right, Mother. All right, I'll go.
Liz! Let her go. Right now. She's the least of your worries.
Vicky va a la vieja casa a buscar a David.
David? David? David, answer me if you're in here. Come on, David, it's getting dark outside. David, is that you? David, I know it's you. Sometimes you're the most exasperating boy in the world. David, open the door! David!
Miss Winters,
Oh, Mr. Collins,
I'm afraid I startled you. I'm terribly sorry. I didn't think anyone would be here.
it's all right.
I was revisiting my ancestral past. You seem to be having difficulty with the door.
Oh, the wind blew it shut.
The wind. Yes, the wind can do things like that. There you are.
But that door was shut tight. How did you open it?
It requires a technique and a little practice.
You sound as though you spent a lot of time here.
Do I? The door has a tendency to stick.
Now, how could you know that if you've never been here until this visit?
I haven't actually, but I know every inch of it.
But how?
Oh, from old letters and family journals, from my youth spent listening to my elders speak of the past.
This house has a great many stories to tell.
Yes, and I know all of them in detail.
It must have been a very beautiful house.
Yes, it was. And it's now more beautiful than ever.
But it's all falling apart.
It will be a long time before this house falls apart. It was made to last forever.
Barnabas comienza a contarle sobre la construcción de la casa. que la fundación estaba hecha de rocas dejadas por los glaciares decenas de miles de años atrás, las hechas de madera de bosques antiguos, los ladrillos importados de Holanda, el candelabro importado de Francia, el papel tapiz pintado por un artista belga, el piso de parquet realizado por un artesano italiano, y así.
It was a house to be envied by a prince. But in spite of all this, the total effort was an agony to man. Men were driven to their limits. What should have been an act and labor of love became a hateful thing. Like the pyramids, one could ask, was it worth it?
You paint a very dismal picture.
Oh, it is the only true one. The beautiful exterior belied the hatred and distrust that lived beneath this roof. Nothing was ever real here. And the love and happiness that one would expect was never lived in the lives of those who lived here.
Was it really that bad?
Yes, this room saw much hatred, saw families divide and devour each other. On this stairs, a father and son hurled words at each other, words that would lead to the death of the son. The death? Oh, forgive me. Nothing that ever happened here is funny.
Well, you've made your point in comparing this house to the pyramids. But there is one difference between them. The pyramids were designed to be tombs.
You're right. This house was not designed to be a tomb.
Hi, Uncle Roger.
Well, hello, kitten. How's my favorite niece?
Your only niece. How was your trip?
Well, business, but it was good to get away from here for a while.
Roger pregunta por las novedades y Caroline le cuenta que al parecer el conflictivo de Willie Loomis se ha ido porque hace varios días no saben nada de él. Eso sería una buena noticia para ellos.
Well, there's another Collins in town.
Which one?
Barnabas Collins.
Barnabas Collins? Well, the only Barnabas Collins I know is the one in the portrait out there.
Well, evidently this one is descended from that one.
Well, I thought I knew all of the Collinses.
This is the part of the family that went to England. I haven't met him yet.
I wonder what he wants.
It's nice of you to invite me up.
Well, I thought you'd want to meet Carolyn.
I want to meet everyone.
Thank you. I'll see if she's in there. Carolyn? Oh, Roger, I'm glad you're back.
Oh, why?
Barnabas Collins is here and he wants to meet you.
Oh, well, I'd like to meet him, too.
So would I.
Mr. Collins? This is Carolyn Stoddard. Carolyn, this is Barnabas Collins.
How do you do?
I'm very happy to meet you. You're every bit as beautiful as you've been described.
Thank you.
And this is Roger Collins.
Roger, very pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Well, I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Have you?
Yes, it's reassuring to know that there's still part of the family still alive. In England, they've no longer exist.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Yes, we're very much in existence here. We're very much alive here.
It's that aliveness that interests me.
Well, now that you finally met him, what do you think of him?
I like him very much.
But don't you think there's something a little bit strange about him?
Oh, of course. He's European. Has that old world charm.
No, it's something else. The way he talks, the words he chooses, it's as though they have some other meaning to him.
I don't follow you.
Well, it's as though he's talking to himself, commenting, making notes to himself.
Vicky, whatever are you talking about?
I don't know. Nothing.
Roger y Barnabas conversan en el estudio.
Here we are. Now, shall we drink to your visit?
I'd rather drink to eternal health.
Eternal health? Eternal life?
To the Collins family.
Well, that's rather a long time, but I'll drink to it.
Excellent.
Oh, may I see that ring?
Certainly.
This ring. I've seen it before.
Have you?
It's unforgettable. The painting of Barnabas Collins. It's on his finger. It's a most unusual ring. All my life I remember seeing it, in the painting. I used to look at it frequently when I was young. It's just as I remember it. The artist did a remarkable job in...
Yes, the artist took great pains to be accurate. Joshua Collins took great pride in his jewelry. It was almost part of his personality.
Yes. It was handed down to you, was it?
Yes, handed down.
It's certainly very handsome.
Thank you.
May I ask why you came here?
Well, Europe was a lonely place for me. There was no family. And when one has the wealth that I have, there are seldom true friends. So I came to the place where I would find family, affection, to the place where my family originated.
Oh, you are seeking a closer relationship from this family?
Well, that is, if they will open their arms to me.
Well, I'm sure it will.
Oh, I don't mean to suggest that I'm going to be a permanent guest. Rather, if the situation permits, I want to go into business.
Oh, here in Collinsport?
Yes, I would like to spend some time talking to you about it. I was hoping that perhaps you might offer some suggestions as to where to invest in the area.
Why, yes, I should be happy to, though I'm not the best investment counselor in the vicinity, but I would be able to at least point you out in the right direction.
Well, I couldn't ask for more than that. Is there a small shipyard in the town?
Yes, there is, as a matter of fact. They haven't been building many ships, though, in several years.
Well, I might be interested in looking into that.
Oh, that's your line?
Yes. Just as it was with the previous Barnabas Collins.
It's so good to see someone friendly show up here after the last few that arrived.
Yes, he seems awfully nice. And so interesting.
Barnabas is leaving now.
Oh, must you go so soon?
I have a call to make.
But you'll visit us again.
Absolutely.
And soon.
The old Collins family were not of the friendliest, but the present family is very warm indeed.
Well, that's nice of you to say so.
Good night, Carolyn. Good night, Miss Winters. Good night, Roger.
Good night, Barnabas.
Good night, Mr. Collins.
Good night, Barnabas. I'll be talking to you shortly.
I'll contact you.
Well, Uncle Roger, you spent most of the time with him. What do you think of him?
I think he's a marvelous man. And he's extremely wealthy.
Oh, it's good to hear that you like someone.
Did you notice it?
Notice what?
The ring.
What ring?
This ring.
What do you mean?
He was wearing the very same ring.
No, I didn't notice.
It's an heirloom. I wish it had been handed down to me.
There's something else very strange.
What's that?
This painting. Have you noticed how much he resembles it?
Yes. It's more than a resemblance. It's almost as if it were exactly a portrait of him.
Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.